Hello there, sword friends. This is going to be a very informal video about this here sword that a friend of mine asked me to sell on his behalf. Now, this is a limited edition Skyjiro take sword. I think that means hak, or maybe it's take or something. Anyway, it looks like take, isn't it? Takes your fucking money. But anyway, I'm going to review some of its features and elaborate on some of the things I see, what I like, what I don't like, and ultimately what I think you get for a $3,500 sword. Now, if you don't believe me, take a look at this shit. Right here we are able to see the sword name take, as in I take your money. Ha ha ha, second time I made that joke. But $3,500 is certainly no joke, and we are able to see some of the things. Now let's just go over some of this malarkey right here and right now. This is a limited edition sword, which is going to inherently increase the value, or at least the asking price of the sword. They say there's only 5 of them ever produced worldwide. I don't know why that makes it worth more money, but anyway, here we go. So it's a particular type of steel, Kobusei construction, which honestly, if it is a Kobusei construction, which I have no real reason to doubt, it takes more time, especially to do it well. I don't know exactly what this is, differential, superior grade, whatever. The polish is a superior hand-to-mirror polish. Anyway, it's trying to say we're doing our best here. Razor sharp, some measurements, which sometimes are correct and sometimes aren't. But what makes it worth more money? I mean, here you can look at some of the photos you have here from them. I don't know if this is exactly the one. Anyway, I have number 4 out of 5 in my hand right now. And so let's just get on with examining what I see versus what I don't see. As I will normally state, I suppose I should outline some biases. One, I am not employed by Skyjiro nor being asked to do this review, even by the friend of mine who asked me to sell this on his behalf. But since it's a very expensive sword and I have it in my hand, it's a good opportunity to show you some of the features. That's why I'm doing it. But I'm not being asked to do the review. This is not my property. I didn't spend any money on it, and I'm not going to actually do any cutting with it because it's a very expensive sword that I am asked to sell, and if I cut with it, I will diminish the value. Anyway, I'm just going to go over some of my thoughts. I do practice Japanese sword martial arts, but I'm certainly no master, and just keep in mind these are my general thoughts, quips, and bitches and moanings. So, on with the little show here. As I normally do, I will start with the kashra down here, this end piece. And what I see here is basically something that looks aesthetically like the Hanwei bamboo mat fittings without the gold bedazzlements, which is kind of funny. Now, I actually happen to have a Hanwei bamboo mat handy, and you can see the striking similarity. This one seems to have some patina and gold embellishments, but the Fuji Kashra are very, very similar in terms of theme. Now that I see them right next to one another, the Hanwei is definitely a different cast. There's a little bit of different detailing in it, but they do have a strikingly similar appearance. Now, maybe they're cast off of a historic original. I don't really know. Anyway, they look real similar. In terms of general transitions, it's very nice. I don't notice any clip or knot or anything that's going to bite my fingers. And the casting quality is not, frankly, great. A $3,500 sword I would expect to have just very, very good overall casting quality in terms of the embellishments of fittings. These look akin to what I would see on any other sword for less money. They don't have the same patina on them. Maybe it's been sanded off or something like that, or maybe they're cast in silver. I don't know. But the casting quality in terms of the detail I'm seeing is not overwhelmingly better. Anyway, the fit and finish in terms of transitions is not bad. Here you can hear my fingers not kind of clipping on anything. Moving on to the Ito, the general shape of the Tsuka or Ska I like. It has a nice kind of canted shape with a roku or hourglass shape to it. It fits very well in my hand, feels comfortable. And the Ito I would not call super tight, but it is quite good. And the diamonds for a mass production sword, even a limited edition one, seem quite good. They're a little small, but they're tight, well shaped, and it's comfortable. It also has some pretty high grade samigawa. I can't tell if this is a full wrap or not, but I do see large nodules that have been lacquered over in green, which gives it a kind of consistent green appearance, yet I can still make out the nodules pretty well. That's definitely a good thing. The Minuki don't stand out overly well. It's tough, honestly, for me to see because my room is so damn orange, whether or not they are actually gold or silver. But they mesh well with it. Oop, and they move around a little bit. They're not exactly pinned down. You might be able to see this. I can move around a little bit under there. The Mikugi blends in. Overall, the Ska feels quite good. The Fuchi lines up reasonably well. There's a little bit of a ledge, but nothing substantial. You know, I guess I'm at the back of my mind expecting absolute perfection for a $3,500 mass production piece, and this is not perfect, but it's better than average. The Tsuba, if I move on to this piece here, it looks like an attempt at Tsukashi, kind of cut out Tsuba in just a plain steel. This looks like it was cut out. One thing I'm doing quick here is if I rub my hand across it, it doesn't bite into my fingers. I mean, it could if I really jammed it in there, but it seems like the edges have been smoothed over just enough to prevent them from really biting into my fingers. For the sake of contrast, I have this Ronin Katana Elite, which does not have that done. This is an earlier model Elite, and it's a vastly different price point. This one's about $850 retail, but if I were to jam my finger up here, these little ledges catch my finger, and I would be bleeding pretty quick if I made a hard strike with this Tsuba. Now it's a different shape. Tsuba, it's not comparison, but I'm just saying these ledges on here, the Tsukashi ledge here is much sharper than it is on the Skyjiro. Moving on with the Tsuba, it's tight, it doesn't wiggle around, I suppose that's expected. The habaki is silver, it has the Skyjiro crossed leaf pattern. This habaki fits in the saya quite well, it doesn't fall out, and it comes out easy enough. I don't like exactly how this sword is shaped. The cant on it seems just a little off overall. I mean, it's not bad. Also, the transitions here for a limited edition, this should not be such a giant. It's not giant. That's not fair. But this is a larger blade than this Fuchi really warrants, I suppose, and it should be bigger. And this transition here seems to catch my eye as not great. It doesn't fit super well. The saya is bigger, and the blade, quite notably, if we move on to the blade, which we won't just yet, but it's a little bigger than it should be. It's not really bigger than it should be. That's not the right way to say it. The blade, the Fuchi and Kasha are a little smaller than they should be to fit a blade of this size. The blade, and I guess that keeps the handle small, and it feels comfortable in my hand for a blade this size, but they should be a little bit bigger and have a little more meat on the bone. Talk about the saya quick, just while I have it in my hand. It's overall reasonably well assembled. Black gloss, nothing overly particularly special or unique or different about it. It's pretty standard, except for its, the transitions between the Fuchi and the saya are not fantastic. Otherwise, it's a plain gloss black saya that looks reasonably well done. If you look inside the Koiguchi here, you don't see a ton of blobby black resin to finish it off. It looks like it was done with some care, and it fits well. The other thing to note is that it doesn't rattle. A lot of times, even with a high-end production sword, the saya rattles when it's put together. This does not. Anyway, as we move on from the habaki and saya to the blade, what you're able to see is that Skyjiro polish, and really it is very striking, very pretty. The hada, the wood grain pattern, the folding on the steel, is not overly pronounced, and it's difficult for me to make out any kind of lamination line. Now, supposedly it's Kobusei, so you're not going to see a lamination line like you would if it were Sanmai, but I don't really make anything out that indicates to me whether it is or isn't. I see folded steel. The shape it's a Tori Sori, but it almost feels like Koshi Sori or this lower curve. It has a reasonably nice curve as I'm holding it out, and as I feel it in the hand, it feels actually quite good. Anyway, as I continue with the polish here, it's got a really striking hamon. It's very pretty, really well done. The polish is not, is not museum grade art polish, but for a katana, a mass production piece, even a limited edition, it's reasonably well done. I wish more katana had polish like this, but I understand if it costs $3,500, people aren't going to probably pay for it. Overall, though, the appearance is really quite good. It has this kind of flat geometry, though. It seems like it's going to be a great stout cutter. It's on the thinner side for how wide it is, and that makes me think this is going to be a cutter. Anyway, the handling characteristics, I will try to put up some more information from the dynamic side of things, but overall it feels better in my hand than really it has any right to. And most of this, I'm not overly aesthetically, I don't necessarily like the choice of green. That's personal and subjective. The shape seems a little bit weird. I don't know that that's subjective, but the point is that in terms of feeling, in terms of control, in terms of how nimble this feels, it actually feels really, really good. Point control wise, I would have not expected this blade when I drew it to feel as pleasant as it does, which it certainly should for $3,500. But when I close my eyes, I don't know if I feel $3,500 in my hand, but I certainly feel a very pleasant, very comfortable, very good feeling sword. Which, given how wide it is, the stout kind of appearance of the blade, that is actually something that's a little more impressive than I thought it would be. Something this big, with the handle the size it is, generally would give me the impression that it's going to be much shittier, much clumsier feeling than it is. It actually feels pretty nimble, agile, comfortable. No major complaints. Anyway, it still, though, does look like a mass production Skyjiro sword, but it just costs a lot more money because of limited availability and kind of the higher end aspect of what they have available to offer. Me personally, I don't honestly see $3,500 here unless something about the theme or the limited availability does something for you. I don't personally know in terms of a collector standpoint if this is going to increase in value over time. This has been around since 2016. It looks like their website still has one for sale. So I'm not sure if this is warranting of the money, unless something about it speaks to you in particular. Is it a good sword? Yeah, but honestly, the Citadel I think had a little bit better fit and finish, and it was a little bit less money. It did not have the Kobusei construction, the folded aspect, or a polish that was as good for the $2,800, which is honestly pretty close to this. And feeling wise, this actually feels very good. So did the Citadel. But I think I like the overall construction and finish quality of the Citadel a little bit more than this, if we're talking about really high-end production swords. But if folded seal, Kobusei construction, and a fancier polish is what you're looking for, I think Citadel could offer you something like that. But it would probably be more expensive than this thing is right here. So it's tough to compare apples to apples in this category of things, but I suppose if you're after fit and finish, if you have a budget of, say, $3,500, and this is at the top end of it, then I would say that if Kobusei construction, folded steel, and a pretty polish are something you want to be able to admire, but you still want something that's put together well and feels good in the hand, this is a solid option. But if you care more about the fit and finish, how it draws, how it moves, I think the Citadel has a little edge. If the folding is not that big a deal to you aesthetically, then I would forego this and go with the Citadel, kind of one of the options they have from Hanwei. The Citadel bamboo is, I suppose, what comes to mind off the top of my head, though there certainly could be others. If you have more in terms of budget, you're really in the realm of custom swords, and I've actually sold some non-folded custom swords for less than $3,500 that have honestly felt a little stouter. This actually feels more nimble than a lot of the custom swords I put together, but you're at least in the ballpark realm of having a smith outside of Japan assembled, fully custom mounted sword for this same amount of money. This is a pretty profound amount of money, and you're in that ballpark. So just keep in mind your options. Overall, this is, I think, at least surprisingly, a very comfortable, nimble, functional, good sword. I expected it to be a little shittier than it was, and it's actually pretty nice. But it's still a lot of money, and whether or not it's the right fit for you, I don't know. If you're interested, this one is going to be for sale secondhand. It hasn't really been used for anything, and it'll be this one. So if you do want it at a little bit better deal, then it'll go up secondhand. But otherwise, it looks like there's new ones available still for the moment, and maybe it's a good choice for you, maybe it's not, though I would say keep your options open. Anyway, that's all I have for you. As always, cheers, and thanks for watching.